for the first, I'm sure.
Will Chris be able to play tonight?
No, he's out.
Did you have any idea how long, or did you get a sense?
I don't. I mean, I'm assuming the next couple for sure. I think he's getting another evaluation today, and so we'll see.
In addition to, I assume Austin will start, but is Lance a guy who can kind of take on some of the ball handling responsibilities?
Well, he already has. He does it anyway. So yeah, that's one of the reasons we got him.
What's your assessment of Paul so far?
He's not played great, obviously. I think he's starting to get a little more comfortable, which is good. Bill Roman today, I think that's Paul's belief, and I think when the time comes, he'll be ready.
What's his level of vocalism or leadership in the locker room?
Oh, he's been great.
Is it similar to what you saw in Boston, or is it less because?
Well, it's different. Yeah, it's a lesser role, so I mean, it's different.
I think you said one time you went in there and he'd already was addressing some of the things.
Yeah, he does. I mean, he's good. He knows when to speak, when not to. That's actually very important as well. I would like some of you guys to learn that. But really, I mean, I think that is something that you learn over the years, and I think Paul does it pretty well both ways.
5 of the last 6 games, you guys have held your opponent under 100 points.
Yeah.
Last game, you guys finally won the rebounding battle. What's changed for you guys of late in terms of defense and rebounding?
I don't know. We're getting better at it. I really, we focused on a couple areas, pulling in and shrinking the floor, showing our early help, which I didn't think we did at all. I thought everybody was guarding their own guy, and there was tons of gaps for people to attack. We're starting to gain rebound better. We really have made a point of emphasis on our guards, to get in the fight and just keep things alive. I think Luke has made a difference over the last couple of games as well, so that's helped. At the end of the game the other night, we had Luke and Austin on the floor at the same time, defensively with DJ. That's a large defensive group to have on the floor. So I think some of those things are probably the reason.
Doc, you said with Chris out, you really looked to Blake to become more of a facilitator.
Mm-hmm.
Why do you think he's so good at facilitating in spite of his size?
I wish I could answer that. I can tell you it has nothing to do with me. Like I told you when I took the job, Tony Brown, who was a coach with me in Boston, and he was actually, I think, the first guy to work with Blake here, was the first guy that called me and said, hey, he's a great passer. He's not a good passer. And if you can figure out a way of using him, he'll surprise you with his vision, and he has. I mean, his handle has gotten better and all that from his work, but he just has great instincts. He has great feel, and there's a few bigs that can do it, but he's one of them.
Doc, Indiana coming in playing very well. I think they're 11-5. Can you use this game as a barometer as to see where you guys are, maybe more so than, like a game against Portland or something like that?
I guess. I never do that. I use every game as one, and we're just growing. Indiana's playing great. I think they started out 0-3. I'm not even sure of that, but I think so. Is that correct?
11-2.
Thank you very much. So, I mean, they're playing great, and what I love about it is how they've changed the way I love when I see it anytime when, from a coaching standpoint, where guys coach one way and completely change the way they play. I mean, they are so different than what they've been, and it's really cool to watch.
When you have Lance, who's as dangerous as he can be in transition and playing fast and getting up and down the court, but you also want him to kind of limit the mistakes, what's the advice? Do you tell him, I want you playing fast and up and down? What's the advice?
Don't turn it over. Really, that's it. I want him to play. I think what's helped Lance is our guys are finally running with him. Early in the year, Lance was breaking out and no one ran with him. And I think what's helped him, now they're running with him, they're finding out what Lance really wants to do is pass. And so you tell a scorer that if you run, you'll get the ball, everybody starts to run. And I think guys are running with Lance. But, we still don't like turnovers. The Red Auerbach famous line, get the ball, don't give up the ball. He told me that was his pregame speech most nights. That was it. It was pretty simple. And if you can do that, you have a chance of winning a lot of games.
Can you talk about a possible game plan, especially having Chris Paul tonight and going against Paul George?
Well, Paul George is just tough, you know. I'm happy for him, you know, when you look at that injury and look at the way he's playing. I'm a fan of the league first, I guess. I've always, you know, and to see that kid do what he went through and play the way he's playing, he's better. He's better than before, which I didn't think any of us probably in this room thought that that was going to happen. So we have to deal with it tonight. We have to get into his airspace as much as possible. We have to try to take away his threes, but that's easier said. Definitely for me.
Curious, did you get a good look at how Chris's injury happened? And
No,
okay.
sorry. I mean, I did.
I mean, there's been a lot made that Indiana, like a lot of teams, is now going to kind of 4 perimeters in a big.
Other than San Antonio.
Exactly, but you know, there used to be a sense that if you did that, you were giving up something defensively. Because now you had a 4-man who was really a 3. But I wonder, are we at the point now in the league where you actually would almost rather have the mobility of that defender than the size of kind of the?
Well, I think it depends on the people. You know, I think the league is better. It's more talented. You know, 10 years ago, you couldn't have done that because there was not a lot of smalls that could do it. They wasn't good enough defensively. They wasn't good enough offensively. Now you have this group of 6'5" to 6'9", you would say, that can do both. They're stronger, they're faster, they're more athletic, and I think it makes them better defenders. They can guard multiple positions. They can play multiple positions on offense. So I think if you got the right fit, absolutely, I think it's better now. I think some teams are better defensively, smaller. They're quicker. You know, the Jimmy Johnson thing, you can cover more ground. Give me 5 quick guys, and I'll be 5 big guys every time. Even though he's a football player, coach, but that was his belief. And I think it's coming true somewhat in our league now.
Doug, on along those same lines, do you see tonight's game against this Indiana team as another opportunity to see how your guys, especially with 2 big guys, can do against a small ball squad?
I guess, I think we're pretty good. No, Blake, what is he? You know, he's a 2, 3, 4, maybe a 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You know, so I can't go to 6, but I can go that far. So with our team, that's not a big concern when teams are small. We tend to do pretty well against that. You know, this team, the only problem they do serve, they're small and they all shoot threes, and that's a concern. We have to make sure that we don't get sucked in tonight. So,
Just to clarify, Chris said a couple, you mean games or days or?
a couple games, I'm not positive, but I'm assuming a couple games for sure, and then after that, we'll see.
Austin had said something to me the other night where he said that.
Austin talked to you?
Yeah.
I'm gonna talk to that boy.
Kind of along the lines of that, going into this year, he kind of expected Chris to not play all 82 after last year.
Yeah.
Things were going to happen. Did you guys as a team prepare for that too? And not just with Austin, but in bringing in Pablo, was that kind of some of that thinking?
Yeah, I mean, that was Chris's goal last year. I didn't really ever like that goal anyway, so, you know, but when a player has a goal, you try to let them achieve it. You know, my thought coming into the year, even if it wasn't injury, maybe rest him a couple of games, and so that's why we needed, and that's why I thought Lance was important. That's why I thought Pablo was important as well, to add more guards, so guys who can handle the ball for us. So, hey, thanks, guys. I know you've been watching the news tonight. I think what's going on in San Bernadino is just horrific. You know, we're in this crazy world of sports where we get to ignore it. But it sucks for all of us. So my heart goes out to everybody. Thank you.